Hey everybody, I'm just kind of showing the new updates, some of the more important updates in Premiere Pro CC 2015, some of the 2015 updates. First of all, just kind of want to talk about the splash screen that first comes up. Very simple here. Actually, when it first came up, it actually started up on this getting started thing right here, which actually kind of demos a lot of the new updates. And it's kind of a cool thing because as they have new updates and they have new things uploaded to added on to CC, they'll be able to demonstrate it here in these little welcome screens as long as you're online. But you can just simply click on create here and it will bring up the typical splash screen that we're used to, just different color and everything. And you have all the recent stuff you've worked on over here in your sync settings, same as before, and new projects over here. So, and then if you use Premiere, Premiere Clip, then you can actually convert and open them up and convert them over to Premiere Pro. But I'm just going to create a new project here, and kind of the same as before, but I'm just going to put this on my desktop and get on with the demo here. So, alright, kind of second thing I want to show is this new little panel that they have at the top here. If this is not showing and you've opened up a previous project and this thing is not showing, you can just go up to Window, go under Workspaces, and if you choose something like Editing, you can go to, once this is selected, if you had a previous project that was rearranged and you open up that project, this might not show. So you just go up to Workspaces and tell it to reset to the saved layout, and it will bring open their new layout here. And there's their new layout. This is pretty cool because you can just quickly click on these things up here instead of going under the Window and Workspaces, and you can have kind of quick access to the layout that you may need. One additional, the one that they have here that I really like is this color one. We will get into this. This color one specifically is different from the color correction. You can do the typical color correction under Premiere, but this one you can under color, it brings open the Lumetri color panel, which is new to Premiere, and we will get into that as well. So that's the second thing I want to show. Quite easy to use. You just click on these. You can make your own layouts, and you can save them as well. But like I said, if you mess something up and rearrange some windows or something like this, and have these windows kind of rearranged, you can just go up to Window, Workspaces, and as long as I'm selected Editing, we're going to reset to saved layout, and it goes back to normal. And there we go. So pretty cool. Other feature I want to show is the morphing feature, the morph cut that they have now. The morph cut is pretty cool because if you're editing a lot of interview footage, you can come in here and you cut out these little gaps where there's ums and ahs and pauses and some of the repetitive or information that the interviewee may be giving, and you can cut those out. And if you don't have B-roll to cover up the edits, the jump cuts, then what the morph cut does is it blends the two cuts together and tries to make it look like it has no space that was eliminated in between. So let's demo that. So I'm going to go through this interview here. There's a kind of a pause right here where he pauses and he's thinking for a second. Right there he thinks for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that pause out. Right there. And after that pause is cut, I'm going to move along here. I'm going to do this a few times. I'm going to move along. Here's another pause where he pauses and thinks for a second. I'm going to cut out that extra time there. And as we move along down here, you'll hear an
Exciting and,
right there, that and he looks at the paper and looking, trying to get on to his next point. So I'm going to cut out that as well. And same thing, you've cut out like a redundant information. Let's pretend like right here is a big section that we want to cut out. Right there, we'll cut out that much of his interview right there. So now we've shortened this interview, we've got just the parts that we want, and if we don't have enough B-roll to cover these jump cuts, watch this as we get to the edit here, you'll notice. You'll see that jump cut, because right here he's got his head completely turned to the side, then it cuts and he's got his head back. So that's going to be kind of a tough one to handle. Same here, there's a little jump cut. So you see these jump cuts, and there he's looking down on the new edit, right there. So I'm going to go under Effects, and it's under Video Transitions in the Dissolve folder, but I'm just going to type it in here, type in Morph. There it is right there, there's our morph cut. So I'm going to grab that morph cut, I'm going to drop it onto each one of these edits. Sometimes you have to, if they look a little weird, you have to kind of change the length of these things. And you'll notice here when I drop these on the edits, it'll analyze in the background, it'll show up as red if your video card is rendering there, and once it's rendered, these things will change back to the yellow real-time preview color. So there goes one right there, that one's done. Let's see how this one does. That one's done. These really only take a few seconds to render. They're all done now. Because I'm recording video in the background, I'm going to render this all to green, so it just like plays back full time. And sometimes, depending on your graphics card, when they're playing back, they'll look a little jumpy when it hits these effects, which is fine. It doesn't mean that it didn't work. So what I will do is I'll go up to sequence and render into out, and it will render my timeline. You can put an in and out point on your timeline if you want to, and just render that. And then it will just build a rendered clip of that effect, and then it will play back a lot better. Then you'll really get a good sense of how it's playing back. Let me do that. Let me show you how we did that. If you want to render just one effect, you can put I and O for a range, and then you go up to sequence and go down to render into out, and it will render that. It'll force render that section there and make it green, and it will play back, and it won't be relying on your video card, whether your video card's fast or not. And then you'll be able to really see what your effect looks like. Option X to clear that. But now let's play through these and see how this morph cut works here.
To the scene with Randy.
And that actually worked pretty well there. You can tell there's something kind of weird going on. And that was a pretty extreme move because he turned his head way to the side. So you might have to change this and manipulate it a little bit till it looks good. Let's look at the other ones.
But now we've done a video, and there's so many projects going on.
That one morphed pretty well there. And what this does is like a frame blending between one clip to the other to get it to look like there wasn't an edit there. Let's watch this one.
Pretty exciting, and I'm just kind of one.
And that one's okay. Some of these, if you look really close, you can see, but most people watching this will never even notice these.
So I'd like to, because he's had his fingers in all.
And that one was okay, but sometimes this will help if you don't have a lot of B-roll to cover, and if there's a lot of movement up from the person, you're going to notice it more. But if it's more like a talking head, then it will be then it usually does a really good job of it. So that's one other helpful tool. One thing I want to show now is I think the biggest change they've made to the 2015 updates will be the Lumetri panel. Let's show that. Okay, with the Lumetri panel, once you're ready to start color correcting, it's a nice little powerful color corrector that you can use. It's a little different than the Premiere color correction. In fact, I think that I prefer it over the regular Premiere color correction because it comes with scopes and everything, and it's got quite a bit of features. It's not quite as powerful as Speed Grade, but it still has a lot of really kind of nice basic features to get what you need if you're in a hurry. I'm going to click on the color panel here for the color layout, and it will bring open a couple new things. First of all, it's got this Lumetri panel that's been added here, and it also has, if you click on this tab over here in your source area, it'll bring up Lumetri scopes, and whatever scopes you want up for color correction, you can right click in here and check them or uncheck them. You can right click on the scopes area over here. You can say I just want like the hue, luminance, and saturation sliders, or the vector scope YUV. The YUV is the more common one, where you've got these kind of limits out here. These, if you want to get more tutorial on color correction, the way the scopes work, look at some of my tutorials in Premiere and in Speed Grade that talk about scopes. But right now, I'm gonna leave up the vector scope. Histogram I'm going to take away here, and I'm going to let's do two. I'm going to do a waveform. But you got the parade RGB, which is helpful. Right now, I'm just going to do waveform and vector scope. And there we go. And actually, you can right-click on these, and you can go down under parade types, and you can tell it to just show show it in white or in colors or a whole bunch of different things. If you want your waveform type just showing in Luma, there you go. If you want it showing the RGB, it's got basically everything you need in here. All right. Well, let's demonstrate this panel over here. This is kind of cool because all you have to do is have a clip selected here, loaded and selected, and over here in the panel. What you can do is, first of all, let's go through the basic correction. The basic correction, any of these you just click on, it'll open up that panel. You've got the basic correction, creative, curves, color wheels, and vignette. So the basic correction is your basic temperature here. If this shot's too cool, you can grab your temperature and just start sliding it and warm it up. And you can see that warming up. Or you can grab the tint. You got tint and temperature, which are two typical tools in color correction. This is more like the magenta, yellow, and green, and this is more like the red, green, and purple sliders right there to get more bluish and reddish, or warm and cool. And up here is kind of greenish and magenta on the opposite side of the color wheel there. So if we want to warm this up a little bit, we can grab it over and warm it up a little bit. You got exposure for brightness. You have contrast. Spread your waveform out there to get brighter highlights and darker darks. You got your highlights, shadows, whites, everything in here that you basically need to manipulate the basics of this shot here. I'm just going to reset all this here. I'm going to go back to my and click on the Creative tab. This is kind of cool as well, because now all the Lumetri looks that you had loaded from SpeedGrade have been loaded over to Premiere, and all you have to do is click on the arrows here and arrow through these. And if you see something you like, let's find something kind of cinematic. Let's find one of the Cine Punch HDR. Let's give that a try. Actually, something a little more saturated. Let's go to one of the Fuji or Kodak things here. Let's give that a try right there. If you like that look, you basically double click on it and it previews it on your clip. I'm going to go through. Oh, this one looks a little more contrasty. Let's try that one. There we go. And now, if you don't like how intense it comes across, you can just grab this intensity slider and you move it up and down. And it's very real time. It updates real time. And if you want it more intense or less intense, then you have some other tools here to manipulate that specific setting. Have your saturation. You can add more saturation to it, less saturation, completely desaturate it. You have vibrance and sharpen, a whole bunch of things you can try. This kind of kills the contrast a little bit, and the vibrance brings out the colors a little bit more stronger there. So some things to experiment with, kind of cool. Let's go down to the next. On the next one here, we've got curves. The curves are really cool. I love this curves part here. Really easy to use. On the white, that's going to be basically everything, your RGB all together. That's your brights, your darks, your highlights all together. If you grab this and create a curve, it's going to, if you're used to doing a curve, working with the curves, it's going to intensify the contrast, and it makes a very cinematic look. You can also do this on just the red channel specifically. You can suppress like the reds in the dark areas, or you can bring them up in the highlights, or you can do it the green channel or the blue channel. Very, very powerful. And then even to get more power here, you've got like a hue and saturation curve here, and you can say you want to get a spike of blues here in your overall image. You can grab these nodes here. You can add a couple nodes like this and say, I just want to isolate and add some blue hues here to the clip. You can create a curve here and add more blues while it's leaving everything else alone, which is really, really cool. So a lot of power in this curve section as well. Now, if we go under color wheels, this is very typical for SpeedGrade. If you're used to SpeedGrade, this is really cool the way this works. Let me turn off my curves here in the Creative tab, and we're going to grab our shadows. These here are your tonality sliders. For your darks, this brings down your darks. This one, or it boosts the darks or the mids or whatever when you're messing with that. Those are your mids, and these are your highlights. If you want to bring down the highlights and bring them up or down, you slide those up and down. And then you have these color wheels controlling the shadows, the colors in the shadows, the colors in the midtones, and the colors in the highlights. So if you're familiar with SpeedGrade, this will look very familiar. So if you want to warm that up, you drag it up. So there's a lot of options here, ways of just really quickly manipulating shots. Now if we go down to vignette, and this is kind of a cool little feature here as well, you can add a vignette just by simply dragging down the amount to bring it in, or dragging up the amount to it makes kind of a negative vignette, kind of highlight on the outside as opposed to darken. This is really cool as well. A lot of really cool features, and you can mess with the midpoint, make your vignette. Let's make this vignette really dark so you can see what it's doing here. You can change the midpoint, you can change the roundness of it, you can change the feather and make it really subtle. And there we go. So say we like this shot right there. I love this this new feature. Very cool. If we go to the effect controls, you'll see that this has been added, and all the numerical manipulations of this are right down under these little drop downs here. Once you get what you want, you're good to go. Let's try. This is all included in just this Lumetri color effect that's been added automatically to this clip. So I'm going to turn this off and back on to look at the before and after. And if you really, really like that, you can just do like you can with other effects in Premiere. You can right-click, copy. You can go to another clip. This is a completely different clip, so it probably won't work on this. But now you can just, in the effects control panel of this clip, I can just do Command-V and paste it, and there it is, added to it. Then you can actually just go in and do fine-tuning manipulations with these things as well. Bring up your scopes, make sure everything's accurate, and move it along. So very cool, very powerful. Really love this panel and what they've done with it. Ooh, let's do this. Blue day for night. That looks cool there. and I don't like the intensity, turn it down. And another thing you can do here as well is if you once you get something that you do like, let me add a vignette to this and get something that I like right there. Let's say that's good. Let me look at the before and after. Before, after, very cool. Now I can just go up to this Lumetri color panel right here. I can click on this little menu drop down, and I can either export this out to use later on in SpeedGrade, or you can do it as a cube. You can use another color correction software, other coloring software, or you can just save the preset and you can use it in Premiere. If you just save the preset and type it in, I'm going to say vignette something. I misspelled that. I'm misspelling things, but I don't care. Vignette something, and I'll misspell something just to be consistent. Save that. Now let's go back and just rearrange this for editing. Go to my next clip, select this clip. I can go over to my effects, and under presets, right there, vignette something. Right there, I can drag that and drop it onto the clip, and boom, I've got the same look that I've just added to my Premiere. So, very cool features. Those are the 4 main features that I really like. I know they've added also something with the libraries here. I'm not really going to get into that right now. I'll probably post one on this later, but you can add photos to it, to your own, to share with the public. You can grab other people's shared items. You can buy the purchase them from Adobe. You can get from their free library a bunch of different images and other items. It's very, very cool. So I'm enjoying the updates. Hopefully you are too. If you have any questions, post it. Just a bit of news. I'm going to start the Premiere tutorials over again. I'm going to be starting them with the new interface with the 2015. So be looking forward to that. I will start posting them hopefully like once or twice a week with the new tutorials for 2015, and it will be a full-on Premiere tutorial. So if you have any questions or comments, please post them, and thank you.